Good morning once again. Welcome to our morning devotions, experiencing God through the seasons of life. Our reading this morning is going to come from the book of Ruth, chapter 1, verses 3 to 5. I will read in your hearing. And they took the wives of the women of Moab. The name of one was Orpah, and the name of the other Ruth, and they dwelt there about 10 years. And Mahlon and Chilion died also, both of them, and the woman was left of her 2 sons and her husband. Then she arose with her daughters-in-law that she might return to the country of Moab, for she heard in the country of Moab how the Lord had visited his people in giving them bread. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading of his word. The story of Naomi is an amazing story which has so many lessons. It is a story which has stories within a story. And it is a story that gives us so many lessons even about the nature of God. This woman was in the diaspora. She had gone there with her husband. They had run away from hunger and had gone to Moab, had crossed over into Moab. When they were there, the husband dies, leaving Naomi with her 2 sons. The 2 sons get married to Moabitess girls. And just after 10 years, the 2 young men also die. We are not told how they died, but we are told after 10 years they all died, and they did not leave any children. I always try to imagine the talk in that community, what it was like for this lady and her 2 young daughters-in-law. What people were saying. If it was in Africa, you would say this woman ate her children. We would say this woman was a witch. But look at Naomi. Naomi does not lose a sight of her God, because she still has an ear back home. And when she heard that God had visited her home country, she decided then to leave. But before we get there, there are things that Naomi's story tells us. And what's our take home from this lesson? The first lesson that I get is that death is no respecter of persons. She had lost her husband. Wasn't that enough? And now she had lost her children again. And she was left in a strange country. Maybe there's someone who's watching this and you are in the diaspora. You have lost all that has meaning to you. But I want to tell you that we have a God who does not abandon his children. Naomi did not feel abandoned. She had not abandoned her God. Everything else had died. The story of Naomi also tells us about the nature of God. We have a God who does not die. We have a God who is ever present. Even in creation, even at creation, God demonstrates that everything else may die. Our spouses may die. But even if our spouses die, we have a God who will remain with us, who will be the biggest part of our stories. And the story of Naomi, like I said, it is a story that has so many stories within it. If God had died for Naomi, then she would have been hopeless. But Naomi did not allow herself to lose sight of her God. And I'm always reminded of how God created Adam and Eve. He did not create them, and they were sharing this space. I'm reminded of how God created Adam and Eve. When he created Adam and Eve, he first offloaded Adam, and he had a one-on-one and an experience with Adam before Eve came onto the scene. And when God was about to introduce Eve, he allowed Adam to sleep. When he put Adam to sleep, we are not told how long God spent alone with Eve. But this tells us that even when Adam is not there, Eve could have a beautiful relationship with God. Eve could survive alone with God. And what I see Naomi doing here is having sight of her God, even though everything else had died. It's very easy to abandon your faith when you have lost, the same way Naomi lost. But I'm sure she speaks like Job to say, even though he slays me, yet will I praise him. When we keep our God in sight, we are at the most advantageous point, because God will never abandon us. Bad things may happen to us, painful things may happen to us, but I want to tell you that our God is an ever-present God, and he does not die. So these 3 widows, their strongest, their most powerful point was even though they had been widowed, but they still had a God. And I pray that as we go through whatever comes our way in our lives, we may never lose sight of what God is doing, of who God is. And we know that He will be right there holding our hands, making the burden easier and light. May we never abandon sight of who God is and what our God is doing. And may we know that we are never, never alone despite where we are. God is omnipresent. He is everywhere. He is right there with you, taking care of your situation. He knows the pain that you're going through. May the Lord continue to comfort you, to strengthen you, to whisper a sweet peace to you. That's my prayer for you this morning. May the Lord bless you.